This is the full signal. Every side. One truth. The situation in the Strait of Hormuz just escalated dramatically. Here is everything that has happened in the last 72 hours, and why tomorrow could be the most dangerous day of this entire war. The US military seized an Iranian-flagged ship called the Touska after firing warning shots at it for attempting to violate the naval blockade. Iran's military warned it would retaliate against what it called US armed piracy. No tankers crossed the strait on Sunday. 0. And the ceasefire expires tomorrow. Here is the full 72-hour timeline, so you understand exactly how we got here. Friday, Iran's foreign minister announced the strait was fully open to commercial vessels. Trump celebrated on Truth Social. Oil prices dropped 11%, the biggest single-day oil price fall in months. Shipping companies started calling their captains. The world exhaled. For about 6 hours, it looked like the crisis might actually be over. Then Trump spoke again. He said the US naval blockade of Iranian ports would remain in full force, regardless of whether the strait was open. Iran's response was immediate. If the blockade stays, the strait closes. And it did. Iranian gunboats fired on merchant ships attempting to pass. India summoned the Iranian ambassador after 2 Indian-flagged vessels were targeted. The strait that opened on Friday closed again before Friday was over. Saturday, US forces seized the Iranian-flagged cargo ship Touska in the Gulf of Oman after firing warning shots. The US Central Command confirmed the seizure and said the vessel was carrying what they called dual-use items. Iran's military called it armed piracy and promised retaliation. Oil prices jumped again. Stock markets fell. Sunday, 0 tankers crossed the strait. Not one. For context, before this war began, more than 500 tankers passed through the Strait of Hormuz every week. On Sunday, the number was 0. Here is the American position. Washington says the blockade is the only leverage it has to bring Iran to the negotiating table. The US seized the Touska because Iran was violating the spirit of the ceasefire while hiding behind its letter. Trump has been clear. The blockade stays until there is a complete deal. Not a partial deal, not a framework, a complete deal. And he has said it is highly unlikely he will extend the ceasefire if nothing is agreed by Wednesday. Here is Iran's position. Tehran says it has already made enormous concessions. It agreed to a ceasefire. It announced the strait was open. And Washington kept the blockade anyway. From Iran's view, America seized their ship in international waters, called it legal, and then demanded Iran come to the table as if nothing happened. Iran's parliament is now working on a permanent law to institutionalize control of the strait, charging tolls to some countries and banning ships from hostile nations entirely. This is no longer just a wartime measure. Iran is trying to make permanent what began as a crisis response. Here is what the rest of the world is seeing. 230 fully loaded oil tankers are sitting trapped inside the Persian Gulf right now, unable to leave. Maersk, CMA CGM, and Hapag-Lloyd, 3 of the world's largest shipping companies, have all suspended transits. The US blockade is costing Iran $400 million a day in lost oil revenue. And Iranian oil wells face permanent damage from overflow if the situation is not resolved by April 26th. That is 5 days away. China is watching this more closely than anyone. Beijing gets 40% of its oil through this strait. Xi Jinping has publicly called for the strait to be fully reopened. South Korea, Japan, India, all are sitting with energy shortages, rising fuel prices, and no clear end in sight. Here is the signal. As of this morning, the status of peace talks in Pakistan is completely unclear. Neither the US nor Iran are giving clear signals they will attend. The ceasefire expires tomorrow. The strait is shut. A ship has been seized. Gunboats have fired on tankers. And 230 fully loaded oil vessels are sitting trapped in the Persian Gulf with nowhere to go. Here is what both sides actually want. The US wants a nuclear deal and a permanently open strait. Iran wants the blockade lifted, sanctions removed, and war reparations paid. The gap between those two positions is enormous. But here is the thing. Both sides also know what happens if the war restarts. Iran knows it cannot win a sustained military conflict against the US. America knows that restarting the bombing will send oil back above $120 a barrel and trigger a global recession. That mutual fear is the only thing keeping this ceasefire alive. The world has 24 hours. Either a deal gets done, or the war restarts. This is the full signal. Every side. One truth.